Welcome back to the decoy shed. When setting decoys, you can do it several different ways. One of my favorite ways is the use of long lines. So I thought I'd go in the shop and show you how I tie up long lines that I use. So once you decide that you want to try and tie your own long line, first question might be, where do I get the fixings to do that? Well, personally, I use Bob Metrich at Decoy Rigs, Whiting, Indiana. Bob's line has a real good stiffness to it so that it doesn't tangle up. It's color fast. I personally like this double braid 1/4 inch line. He has swivels and snaps to complete your lines, or you can actually order completed long lines already tied, ready to go. Attach the anchors, attach the decoys, throw it in the water, start hunting. But I want to go over how I tie up long lines on my own. So what I've done is I ordered bulk line from Bob, and I've decided how long I want my overall line to be and how much distance I want to space my decoys, and I've marked that off on the line, that spacing. And then I take these little barrel swivels. They're used for fishing. These happen to be brass. I come to the spot on the line where I want to place a decoy, and I take a piece of small paracord, nylon, and I tie a constrictor knot here as a stop. Then I thread on one of these barrel swivels until it slides down to where the constrictor knot is. And then I come on the other side of the swivel and I tie a second constrictor knot. I cinch those down really tight. I burn the ends and actually meld it in together to create a little space in there that captures the swivel. And it looks like this, and I'll give you a close-up of this in a minute. What I like about this is that with this swivel, the line can spin around this way and not tangle. The decoy can spin without twisting either the dropper line or placing any twist in the mother line. I do it this way instead of using metal crimps because as you're picking up the decoys or deploying them, this is a little easier on your hands. There's not any sharp edges to grab your glove or your hand. And with this very stiff line, if you try to tie a knot, which you can do, and I've seen it done this way to create that gap, you have a very large knot. I liked the way this works out because it's smaller, but it does the job of capturing that swivel and keeping it in the position that I want it in. Once you have all the swivels located on the line where you want them, then it's time to decide how you want to attach your decoys. Again, several different ways you can do that. What I like to do is to tie the dropper line and not have any more mechanical fasteners or connections than I have to. It makes it lighter. There's just fewer moving parts. You also can decide the length of the dropper that you want it to be based on how you're hunting and where you're hunting. You can make these as long or short as you want. What we found is that really long drop lines make recovering the decoys difficult because they swing around and they're hard to grab and put into the bag. So we use a drop line probably about overall 15 to 18 inches, and I tie my decoys directly on to the drop line. Again, just eliminates another connection. Now, an option that I've seen some folks use is they'll actually tie a leader onto the decoy, something like this, and then they'll use a stainless steel S-hook to connect the leader to the drop line. And then if they want to swap out the decoys for a different look in the rig, then they just open up one of the hooks on the S-hook, swap in a new decoy. And that way their decoys are essentially permanently rigged together. I just use the bowline, tie my decoys directly to it. I'm set, ready to go. So once you've got your swivels on and attached your mother lines and you've got your decoys connected, now you have to have a way to connect the line to the anchor so that it doesn't move around on you once you deploy it. What I like to do is to take these brass snaps, a couple different reasons. I've used metal ones before that corroded and discolored my decoys, got rust on my decoys. So now I use the brass ones. You could use stainless steel if you wanted to. I like the brass because as you use it, it gets this nice patina on it and becomes very attractive to my eye. The other thing that I like to do, you could just knot this to make that connection. Personally, I like to create an eye and then whip down these ends. I think it's more attractive and it's a nice smooth hand as you're handling these lines. After I've got a line tied up, I'll take it out in the backyard, stretch it out its full length, and then start selecting the decoys that I want on that particular line. I typically order them by species and the drakes and hens depending on the appearance that I'm trying to get in the overall rig. Once I've got the decoys attached to that line, it's now time to store it. And what we like to use are tall leaf bags. They collapse on themselves. They're nice and rigid so that when you're putting the line and the decoys into the bag, it will contain an entire dozen of decoys and all the line. But when you're in the boat and you've deployed your decoys, they collapse down and store very easily out of the way in the tender boat, and so they don't get underfoot. So they work really well. You can also use these to store your decoys during the off season if you want to, or what we'll do most of the time is take our decoys off, we clean them up after the season, we'll coil the long lines in the collapsed bag, and then they stack up very neatly in the decoy shed. Thanks for visiting with us. I hope you found this tutorial interesting and useful. This is the way I do it. There are many different ways that you can tie your own lines, or as I mentioned, you can purchase them pre-tied, ready to deploy. It's a lot of fun hunting over something that you've created with your own hands, whether it be decoy lines or decoys themselves, or building your own boats. The big thing is get out there, enjoy the outdoors. Until next time, I'm Tim Spate in the Decoy Shed.